Hi everyone, it's Natalie here. It's a lot darker. Sorry about that. I'll try and scoot a little bit closer to the screen. It's a little darker here than what I expected. I don't know why I expected it not to be as dark as it is right now, but I guess I expected that like the lights in my sunroom, because I don't have overhead light in here, would somehow be a little bit more accessible. Anyway, I just came on because I had a really crazy experience that I wanted to share. So, have you ever had a deck that's new that just you haven't really had a good chance or opportunity to connect with yet, and then before you know it, it's kind of like calling you? Because that's kind of what happened. So, about a month ago, I ordered. This is an impulse buy. I don't impulse buy tarot decks. Just to put that out there, I don't want to have tarot decks hanging around my house that I don't use. I don't like having anything around my house that I don't use. I'm someone who originally was in a tiny house, and it's not necessarily because I was like, woohoo, I want to downsize, but more like I'm not somebody who wants to have a lot of belongings to look after. They're a big responsibility. So I don't really want to buy tarot cards and decks that I'm not going to use. But I saw this one come up on eBay, and I had no knowledge of the publisher ahead of time. I haven't published my review of it yet, or my unboxing yet, but I will. It was just an unknown, and I saw some of the, pictures of the cards and thought, oh my gosh, I love that. And I couldn't tell you why. It was obviously a pip deck, and it was sold on eBay by Collect Tarot. So those of you out there who are already familiar with Collect Tarot and already familiar with Il Meneghello, this is nothing new. This is my first introduction to Il Meneghello or to Collect Tarot, so that was kind of exciting. Very exciting, in fact. And so the deck arrived, long story short, it'll be in the review, or in the unboxing. It didn't have an Eight of Swords, which is going to become very interesting in a second. And so because of the lack of Eight of Swords, I got in touch with Collect Tarot. And it took a few weeks, but he got me an Eight of Swords card, and it just arrived on Sunday. Or, well, it arrived earlier. I have things sent to my friend's house because where I live, the post is not reliable. So even when I order stuff, I don't have the immediate gratification because it means coordinating with my friend to be able to go over to her house, pick it up, all of those sorts of things. Anyway, Eight of Swords arrived. And since it's been there and I integrated it and put it in the box, it's Thursday the 14th of March. I put that card in on probably Tuesday. I'm thinking probably Tuesday the 12th of March. Since I put that card in the deck, I'll wake up in the early morning, like right after your alarm goes off or even before you get out of bed. And I'll wake up and I'll be thinking about that deck and kind of not like in a really heavy way, but just like I really want to work with this deck. So in the midst of all of that going on, I woke up this morning again, similarly, and was like, wow, I've really got to pick up that deck and work with it. It just was with me, all morning, all day. And finally, I guess it was before I left to go be with my end-of-life client and family. And I was hoping I would have a short, visit with them this evening, and it was. But before I left, I picked up and I thought, I've just got to pick it up and shuffle it. So I just started picking it up. It's a really odd little deck. It's kind of like a collection of bookmarks, right? So I had it and I was just sitting, happily shuffling it for a while. And I was having it just felt so good to shuffle. And I thought, I'm just going to take this with me. And I carefully transported it with me, and I couldn't say why. I really didn't think I was going to be able to find a quiet place to sit and shuffle cards and be with them, but I needed them with me, which is, again, a very weird, I have my Marielle, and I'm working with the Marielle this month, and I do have that kind of attachment to it. I do put it under my pillow sometimes. I do, but it was a really overt thing. Like, I researched the Marielle. I knew I wanted it. I knew I knew that was my deck. I just knew. This one kind of shocked me. I wouldn't have said that this was a deck that I really, it just was out of nowhere. And like I said, I will obsess over watching reviews of decks, and I'll look them up online. I'll research the author and what their process was of creating cards and so on. I know almost nothing about this author. I knew nothing. I just bought them. They were just there, and I thought, I need that deck. I want that. Really weird. Not like me. I'm not an impulse buyer, so we've established that. So I get up this morning. Well, let's fast forward because we just did that. And it's been a crazy, couple of weeks here. But so I get home this evening, and I said to my partner, honey, I've got to go and just do some reading. I just need to be with this one deck and everything. So I set up my space and came in and shut the door and settled the dog. And the first question I sat and shuffled. And the first question I had in mind, I thought, we're just going to play a little game of getting to know you. So I started my little shuffle, and I'll tell you this, I was thinking about doing this all the way home. So all the way home through the traffic this evening after going to the grocery store and, visiting my client on the other side of town and so on. I was thinking to myself, I'll start by just shuffling, and I'm just going to ask, what can you tell me? What can you tell me about yourself? What do you want me to know? And as I was sitting in the car, I don't even remember if it was a thought of like, wouldn't it be funny if, or if just the card that was coming to mind, was either an 8 or a 10 of coins or discs. And I mean, this is a deck where it's clearly, it's denarii, it's coins. And I don't remember if I thought, wouldn't it be funny if, or if it was just like that was clearly the coin, the cards that I kept seeing in my head. But sure enough, I mean, when I'm playing a getting to know you, which I kind of do on my own in my own little weird way. I think we all have those little weird quirky things that we do. And I know that it's not an uncommon thing to have a way of like greeting a deck or playing and people call them deck interviews. But I thought I just want to connect. I just want to know who am I talking to? Who am I playing with here? So the first card that came flying out as I was shuffling was none other than the 10 of coins. And I just burst out laughing, and I was like, oh, really? That's cute. That's really cute. Okay, well, that's really good. All right. Thank you for that. Put it down. And this is all just in my head. And so I asked, okay, what else can you tell me? Is there more? Is there something else? And he brought me the Knight of Coins. And, I thought, all right, and it's going to take me a little while to really get to know, what does that mean in this deck, right? So I'll write this down. I'm recording this, and, I can look up all of these meanings. I have ideas of what they might mean. I just want time with it to I'm not going to overinterpret anything. But, that was what came next. And I thought, all right, okay, that's, there's something to do with seeking. There's some, obviously that suit is one. I don't know if I've talked about this in any videos that I've published recently, but for me, the suit of pentacles, or coins is one that I realize is like not the weakest link. It's like, it's the suit I most feel I need to get to know and work with. So this is all very interesting. I have a lot in my my astrological chart. I have a lot of fire element, and I have a lot of air and water. Well, mostly water and fire. I really don't have any earth. It's in my south node. My south lunar node is Taurus. Again, why I don't like, if you know anything about nodes, lunar nodes, if you're North Lunar Node is in Taurus, the last thing on Earth you want to be doing is accumulating stuff that you don't need. So, and yet we all live in the physical world. We live in a physical body, so there's there's just such an interesting balance, and dichotomy that goes on there. So I was kind of thinking about that. And as I was thinking about that, it was like, I wonder what that's about. And up came, the Two of Coins. And interestingly, the way I saw this was, like, I want to work with you. If you're asking me to tell you about myself, I'll tell you, I'm asking you to work with me, partner with me. Again, like a Scorpio North Nodal position is also, it's about partnership, and it's about, making partners, having partners, working with partners, and often working, in a, I don't know, like an interpretive, supportive kind of role. It's not always taking the lead so much as just, being available, being open, all of those kinds of things. And that's kind of cool too, because numerologically, I'm a 2. That's the other part. So I don't know if anybody watching knows anything about numerology. My birth number, or the number you get when you add up your whole birth date and so on, comes out to an 11-2. So, it's High Priestess, Justice, dichotomy, which is kind of fun. It totally makes sense. It totally makes sense for me. When I saw that and read it, I thought, wow, that adds that extra dimension of understanding, how those numbers come to life in the tarot. Anyhow, so that was my first part of the interview. As the interview went on, I asked, okay, what kind of readings, do you want to do? And so the first card, and this is a lengthy process because I wait for the deck to receive whatever I'm asking and then throw out a card. You know how decks like to do that. And I know I'm touching my nose. There's all this stuff right now going on the internet about touching noses. My nose is itching me like crazy because the wind in St. Louis is blowing and blowing and blowing. And my sunroom's dusty. It needs to be cleaned. I haven't cleaned it for too long. And anyway, I came back from walking my dog. So my nose is running and it's itching. Just throwing that out there. Because I've seen this stuff. But yeah, so the next, what kind of readings do you want to do? Brought up the King of Wands. So that was the first one that it coughed out. The second one it threw at me was the Knight of Spades. So we got King of Wands, Knight of Spades. Is that going in the right direction for you guys? No, you want it this way, right? Because yeah. And then the third one, Eight of Swords. So the missing card, I couldn't do Get to Know You with my new deck because it needed to tell me this, I guess. It wanted me to know. So Eight of Swords came flying out. And it came flying out with its friend, the Knight of Swords. But the King came first, which is interesting. So I continued the interview. I thought, well, I kind of feel like I need 9 cards. I just kind of had that feeling. I was looking at the pattern here that was emerging. And so as I kept playing, shuffling and shuffling, I should start by saying, you let your mind wander. Sitting there, I'm kind of like just letting my mind do and thinking about different things to do with the tarot and, different stuff that's come up in the week and so on. And one of the things that's come up this week, my new stalker card, since I've been working really actively with my end-of-life client, has been the Tower. And normally, I have kind of spoken about it. I don't think I put the video out yet because I have to finish editing. It was a worthwhile discovery to share, so I will share it. But, and I don't know whether you'll see this before or that one or who knows. But the Tower is not a scary card to me. the tower for me personally represents an initiatory process that started several years ago. And when I realized what the tower card was archetypally, that was the moment when I really completely lost all fear. I guess I should say I lost all fear. There's still a part of me, and it is just a part. It's not the self part of me. There's a part of me that is still like, oh no, what does that mean? Do we have to go through that all over again? Because if you have a really big tower moment in your life where it is like having your whole, everything you know, everything about you, everything about the way you function, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, all of it, just the wiring gets ripped out. It's shredded. And it's like having a completely different new wiring installed. And in order for that to take place, sometimes it does mean you have everything completely destroyed. Whole aspects of your life, whole aspects of your identity, it's more than it's a lot. Let's just say it's a lot. And having been through that, and having chosen to see that as an opportunity for growth, it just like, okay, this is my chance to grow. This is my chance to make my life what I want it to be. That's really how I chose to see it, and how I chose to work with it. So as I was sitting kind of shuffling and thinking, I've had that stalker card all week, telling me like, hey, I see you. You're fulfilling what you were asked to do now. Because when the star, when the star moment happened, after the tower, the beauty of that moment was in recognizing that I had lost the fear that I had before that of death. And that for me, death didn't feel scary anymore. And I also realized at that moment, I think I want to sit with people that are dying. I want to sit and I want to be with that. I want to be with that process. I want to witness, and the idea of it just makes my heart go, expand and get huge. So that is to me what the tower represents. It represents that initiation, that it kind of honors that experience for me. And, having it come up this week, I'm like, is it about, what is that? What is it about? And it's not, it's about what it's about. It's like reminding me of my sacred responsibility. So I sat here and this is a long video coming up. Yeah, here it is. It's already getting long. But I sat here, shuffling and shuffling. And lo and behold, after asking the question, how would you like us to work together? As I'd been thinking about the tower and thinking, wouldn't that be funny if this deck decided to throw the tower at me? I mean, it wasn't 5 seconds later. And sure enough, here it is. It chucked out the tower at me, which is great. I loved it. And so I thought, yeah, of course you chucked out the tower at me, because I was thinking about it, and you're hearing, whatever it is that's operating here is hearing me, and is really also interested in saying, look, I see you. This is a conversation. This is a dialogue. You want to talk about how do you want to work together? This is how we're going to work together. I'm hearing you. I'm listening to you. So that was really beautiful. Then the other two that came out, the devil. And again, I don't want to, there's not all of it that feels completely clear to me yet. And this is another one where I'm like, not really sure how that goes. Although, makes me wonder, because the other card that came out right after it, You know, the Pope or the Hierophant. So interesting, right? The material and the spiritual. You know, how do we, and that to me feels right too with the rest of the cards, is reconciling, you know, what is it to be, you know, a spirit, you know, a soul that has to be embodied, right? How do we deal with that? I mean, that's maybe what it is. But whatever it is, it's beautiful. So I don't know. I didn't know that I would ever have expected to connect with this deck quite so much. I don't know why, but it's really sweet. And I did want to just share that, you know, the outcome of that little moment. And I'm sure I'll have more to share about this deck. It's a really sweet little deck. Isn't that funny? That's as different. Last time I had my hands, it was a different ace, and now the Ace of Cups. I love that about working with tarot. I love those moments where a shot, you know, you're thinking of something, or you have a foresight, and it comes out. It's just beautiful. So I love it. I wish other people would share more about that, because I don't hear about that very often. But those are the moments that just make me laugh and just think, this is why I really missed working, you know, with the cards. So, and why I'm really glad I'm back doing it again. Okay, everybody, quite enough for tonight. And thank you for bearing with this if you got this far. And I'll talk with you soon. Thank you.